I knew today was wrong the second I woke up, not because of some weird dream or because the sun looked different, but because my mom didn't yell at me to take out the trash. Every morning, without fail, she shouts up the stairs at exactly 7:30, and I grumble, and that's how we start the day. But this morning it was quiet. I checked the time. 7:32. Silence. The kind you can taste. Downstairs, our old dog, Lucky, wouldn't leave the window. He just sat there, head low, staring outside. I almost tripped over him, grumbling under my breath, but he didn't even move. Outside, the street looked like it always does. Our neighbor, Mr. Gilson, watering his roses, a couple of high school kids jogging with headphones, some Amazon van 2 doors down. But there was something off. I can't explain it right. Like a TV show when the laugh track doesn't match the jokes. Familiar, but broken in a way your brain notices before you do. By 9 a.m., I was sitting at the kitchen table, doom-scrolling my phone while poking at cold cereal. That's when I noticed it. People in the comments on every post talking about coughing, chills, and headaches. Not "I'm sick," but "half my office is out." My neighbor hasn't moved in hours. Anyone else hearing helicopters? And outside, a dark green military van was parked at the corner, windows up, not moving. No one got in or out, but I swear someone was watching from the back window. Lucky kept growling so low I felt it in my chest. My mom finally appeared, hair messy, eyes glazed. "You should stay inside today, okay? Don't let anyone in. And don't open the curtains, not even a little." She never says stuff like that. She barely looked at me. When I asked if she was feeling okay, she just nodded and locked herself in her room. No morning fight, no goodbye. Just the sound of her door clicking shut. I tried to call my best friend, Mason, but the line crackled and died. Then I texted him. Nothing. I called again, tried my cousin in Cleveland, my dad across town, even my old teacher from junior high. Nobody picked up. When I checked Twitter, some people said cell towers were down. Others said the news was lying. Some claimed there was a chemical leak. Some blamed the government. Some just sent memes of skeletons holding phones. I tried watching the local news, but every station showed the same emergency alert. Stay inside, lock all doors, do not look outside after dark. It felt like the world was crumpling in around me. I started pacing the kitchen, phone in hand, refreshing every app I had. No updates. My hands were shaking. Every window in the house suddenly looked too thin, too easy to break. Every noise outside made me flinch. When Mason finally texted, "You seeing this? Stay inside." Seriously, my dad's friend is National Guard. They're not saying everything on TV. My stomach dropped out. I wanted to call him, but my phone was already stuck on no service. I heard a thud next door, then a scream. For a second I froze, half thinking about running over. But then I remembered what Mom said. Instead, I peeked out the edge of the curtain. Our neighbor's front door was wide open, and Mrs. Parker was standing just inside the threshold, staring out like she was trying to remember how to walk. Blood smeared across her shirt. Someone in a hoodie ran past, tripped on the curb, then scrambled up and kept running. I closed the curtain fast, heart hammering. I ran to every window, locking them, sliding the deadbolts, dragging the couch in front of the back door. The whole time, Lucky followed me, whining, tail between his legs. I even barricaded the garage door with the lawnmower and 2 old bikes. I called out for Mom, but she didn't answer. I heard her moving around upstairs, dragging something heavy. Maybe she was doing the same thing. Maybe she was just hiding. I didn't know anymore. By noon, the street outside was empty. The military van was gone, but someone had spray-painted "Stay Inside" across the pavement in red. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number, no message. The sky was getting darker even though it was barely past lunch. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. Every time I walked past a window, I swore I saw movement in the shadows, just out of view, something watching and waiting. I stopped looking after the third time, closing every blind, turning on every light. That was when the scratching started at the front door, slow and soft, like fingernails on wood. I told myself it was just Lucky, but he was cowering under the table. I grabbed the baseball bat from my closet, sat on the floor in the hallway, and tried not to breathe too loud. The scratching kept going, sometimes soft, sometimes frantic. Sometimes it stopped, then started again from the back door, or the side window, or the garage, like they were testing, waiting for me to mess up. I sat there for hours, phone in hand, staring at the locked door, listening. It never really stopped, even after I tried to drown it out with music, even after I tried to call for help one last time. There's nothing left to do but wait. It feels like they're watching. And now I know for sure I'm not the only one inside tonight. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have drifted off somewhere in the dark, hunched up against the wall with the bat digging into my ribs. I woke to Lucky barking, sharp and panicked, and the first thing I noticed was the silence outside. No birds, no traffic, not even wind. Just the echo of Lucky's bark bouncing off the hallway tiles. Then the banging started. Front door, back door, windows. Not a scratch this time, but a full-on pounding, like they knew I was awake, like they were daring me to open up. I crawled over to Lucky and dragged him away from the door. He was shaking so hard his collar jingled. I whispered, "Shh, buddy. Shh, it's okay." But I don't think I believed it. I sure as hell didn't feel safe. I texted Mason again. Just a single word. Help. It didn't send. No signal, not even Wi-Fi now. My phone just flashed, emergency calls only. Something thudded upstairs. Heavy, like furniture being shoved or a body dropping. My heart tried to jump out of my chest. "Mom?" I called, but my voice barely came out. No answer. I crept up, every stair groaning under my weight. Her bedroom door was locked from the inside. I banged, tried the handle. Nothing. "Mom, please just say something." She didn't. Suddenly I heard glass shatter from the living room. I sprinted down, no thinking, just instinct, and saw a rock had come through the front window, glass everywhere. I ducked, hoping nothing else came through, and pulled the blind shut. But then I saw it. A face peeking over the sill. Pale skin. Sunken eyes, just watching me. It didn't blink, just stared. I backed away and grabbed the bat, heart hammering so loud I thought it would hear me. Lucky barked again, and the thing jerked back out of sight. The phone rang. I jumped so hard I almost dropped the bat. The caller ID was just numbers, no name. I answered anyway. Static. Then a voice, twisted and slow, like a bad recording. "Stay inside. They're watching." The line went dead. No dial tone, just silence again. I threw the phone on the counter, too scared to touch it. Lucky whimpered, pressed up against my leg. Outside, the street wasn't empty anymore. People were standing on lawns, in driveways, in the middle of the road, but they weren't moving right. They jerked and twitched, heads rolling side to side, mouths hanging open. I recognized Mrs. Parker, still in her bloody shirt, and Mr. Gilson, face streaked red. They weren't dead, but they weren't alive either. A couple of them pressed their faces to my windows, noses flattening against the glass, eyes tracking every move I made. I dropped to the floor, holding Lucky, trying to disappear. That's when the screaming started. It was Mason. I knew his voice instantly, yelling from outside, begging for help. "Let me in, please. They're after me." I peeked through the blinds and saw him sprinting up my driveway, one shoe missing, shirt ripped and bleeding from the arm. The zombies, or whatever they were, turned their heads in perfect sync and started shuffling toward him. My brain split in two. Let him in, or keep the door shut. I yanked the door open, grabbed Mason by the arm and slammed it shut behind him, throwing the deadbolt just as hands started beating against the wood. He was gasping, eyes wild. "They bit me," he said, holding out his arm. The bite mark was raw, blood oozing. I couldn't get away. My dad, he didn't make it. My head spun. I pulled him into the living room, pressing a towel against his arm. "We'll figure it out, okay? We just need to stay inside. It's safer in here." He nodded, but tears kept running down his face. We could hear the things outside, circling the house, scraping, moaning. Sometimes they'd stop like they were listening. We tried every window, making sure they were locked. I moved furniture in front of doors, barricaded the garage with the lawnmower again, stacked whatever I could find. Every time something banged, I nearly jumped out of my skin. My phone kept buzzing. Unknown numbers, weird static voicemails with no words, just heavy breathing or someone whispering, "Stay inside," over and over. Mason's phone was dead. The Wi-Fi was gone. All we had was each other, and the dog. We turned on the TV, nothing but static and emergency warnings, repeating the same message. Shelter in place. Do not approach anyone exhibiting erratic behavior. Lock all doors and windows. Help is on the way. But no one came. The sun started going down and the street filled up with more of them. People I used to know, people from school, neighbors, even strangers just standing there staring at the house, watching, waiting. Lucky wouldn't stop barking. Mason started shaking. I could see the bite getting worse, purple, swollen, spreading up his arm. He tried to laugh it off. "I'm fine, I just need to sleep." But I could see it in his eyes. He was terrified. So was I. Sometime around midnight, we heard banging on the back door. Hard, urgent, like someone trying to break in. We ran to the kitchen, but it wasn't one of them. It was my mom. She was outside, pounding, her face wild, hair hanging in her eyes. "Let me in," she screamed. "They're coming, please." Mason looked at me, eyes wide. I hesitated, remembering how quiet she'd been all day, how she locked herself in her room. "Please, honey, it's me." I pressed my face to the window. Her hands were covered in blood, her eyes too bright. For a second, she looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw it. The same emptiness I'd seen in the others. She started scratching at the glass, mouth open, making a sound I'd never heard from a human. Lucky howled, Mason backed away, and I felt my chest go cold. I didn't open the door. I couldn't. My mom, whatever she'd become, kept pounding, kept howling, until finally she stopped and just stood there, staring in, like all the others, waiting, watching from the dark. I held Mason as he shivered, trying not to think about what I'd just done, or what was happening to the only family I had left. I knew this was just the start. They were everywhere now, and none of us were getting out. I don't know how long we sat there in the dark, the only sound Mason's shivering breaths and Lucky's low growl. I kept waiting for Mom to start pounding again, to scream, to beg, but she didn't. She just stood in the yard with the rest of them, staring, barely moving, like a statue in the dark. After a while, I pulled Mason off the floor and dragged him to my room. I pushed the dresser in front of the door and made a little nest with my blankets. Mason was burning up. His arm looked like spoiled meat, purple, red, crusted with blood. He kept mumbling things I couldn't understand, stuff about his dad, about the shadows outside, about how he could hear them thinking. At some point I tried to clean his wound, but he flinched and I saw his eyes, too bright, too wide. I knew what that meant. He wasn't just sick, he was changing. I locked myself in the bathroom for a few minutes and tried not to throw up. The world felt like it was closing in, like the house was shrinking and everyone outside was getting closer. I splashed water on my face, stared at myself in the mirror, and told myself I'd wake up from this. I didn't. When I came back out, Mason was staring at the window. He didn't even blink when I called his name. Lucky wouldn't go near him anymore. I tried calling for help again, but the phone just clicked and hissed. On the TV, the emergency message was gone. Now it was just static, the kind that makes your teeth hurt. I paced the room, checked the barricades, tried to eat something, but I couldn't swallow. The air felt thick, heavy with something rotten. Then I heard it, a voice from the front yard. Not a scream, not a moan. My mom, calling my name in a calm, clear voice. "Come outside, honey. It's all right. We just want to see you." She sounded normal, too normal. I looked through the blinds. All the zombies were standing together, shoulder to shoulder, eyes fixed on the house. Mom stood in front, her clothes covered in blood, hands at her sides. She smiled. "It's safe out here now." Mason sat up suddenly, eyes wild. "I can hear her in my head," he whispered. "They're talking to me." He pressed his palms to his temples, groaning. I watched the purple spread up his neck, watched his pupils go huge and black. I knew what was coming next. I grabbed the bat and backed away, heart hammering. "Mason, Mason, you have to fight it." But he was gone. He charged at me, mouth open, snarling, eyes wild. I swung the bat and it cracked against his arm, but he didn't even flinch. He crashed into me, and we went down hard. Lucky jumped in, barking, biting, but Mason threw him off like he weighed nothing. I scrambled to my feet, shoved Mason into the wall, and locked myself in the closet. He banged on the door, snarling, then suddenly stopped. Everything went quiet. I waited, barely breathing. After a while, I heard footsteps creak down the hallway. Then nothing. I peeked out. Mason was gone. The window was open. He'd gone outside, joining the rest of them. I looked down at Lucky. He was bleeding from a cut on his ear, but alive. I hugged him tight, whispering, "It's just us now." The house didn't feel like home anymore. Every sound made me jump. I packed a bag, water, food, a flashlight, anything I could find. The barricades wouldn't last forever. I knew I couldn't stay. I opened the back door a crack and saw them, all the zombies, standing in the yard, perfectly still, watching the house. My mom at the front, Mason beside her, eyes blank, head twitching. They didn't move, didn't attack, just watched. I waited until sunrise. When the first light hit, the crowd shuffled away, one by one, disappearing into the shadows. I grabbed Lucky and slipped out the back, keeping low, moving fast. The streets were empty, cars abandoned, doors hanging open, bloodstains drying on the sidewalk. I didn't look back. I kept moving, block after block, ducking behind fences, cutting through yards. I saw more of them, zombies, people I used to know, standing in clusters, watching houses, waiting for someone to come outside. Some followed me with their eyes, but none chased, not during the day. At the edge of town, I found a gas station with a busted door. I slipped inside, locked the bathroom, and collapsed on the floor. Lucky curled up next to me, shivering. I don't know what comes next. The world is gone. There's no rescue coming. There's just me, my dog, and the dark, always waiting, always watching. I'm not the same person I was. I know that. There's a thin line now between me and them, between inside and out. I'm still here, still moving, but I can feel them in my dreams, calling me to join them. Maybe one day I will, but not today, not yet. Don't miss the next stories. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're first to hear the next emergency warning.